From unsolved mysteries to unexplained phenomena, from comedy gold to relationship fails, Amazon Music's got the most ad-free top podcasts, included with Prime. Because the only thing that should interrupt your listening is, well, nothing. Download the Amazon Music app today.
So, when I ask, what is Odoo? What comes to mind? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But some people also say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. I mean, whatever your business needs. Manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So, what is Odoo? Well, I guess Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it. Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the power of negotiation. If you want to thrive in real estate, you have to master the art of negotiation. It's not about being pushy or manipulative. It's about creating win-win opportunities that move your deals forward and protect your interests. Here are 5 actionable tips to sharpen your negotiation skills. Number 1, do your homework before every conversation. Don't walk into a negotiation blind. Research the property, the seller's motivation, the local market trends. Knowing the numbers, recent comps, and potential pain points gives you a confident edge that helps anticipate objections before they come up. Number 2, listen more than you speak. The best negotiators ask smart questions and then truly listen to the answers. Let the other party talk about their needs, concerns, and goals. The more they share, the more leverage you gain to craft creative solutions that work for everyone. Number 3, get comfortable with silence. Don't rush to fill every pause. Sometimes a well-timed moment of silence can prompt the other side to reveal more information or even sweeten the deal. Let silence do some of the heavy lifting for you. Number 4, know your walkaway number and stick to it. Before you begin, set your absolute maximum or minimum and commit to it. If the deal doesn't meet your criteria, have the courage to walk away. This protects your business and shows you're a serious player, not a desperate one. And number 5, frame every offer as a win-win. People want to feel good about the deal. Present your terms in a way that highlights benefits for both sides, whether that's a quick close, flexible terms, or solving a specific problem. When everyone wins, deals get done faster with fewer headaches. So, Rain Nation, remember, negotiation isn't about getting your way. It's about building bridges to badass opportunities. Practice these skills and you'll start closing more deals with more confidence and way less stress. Now go out there and flex those negotiation muscles. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today, we have Robert Howard, a blue-collar entrepreneur turned real estate mogul who built his empire with pure hustle and street-smart strategy. After more than 20 years as a top performer in the auto industry, Robert made the leap into real estate wholesaling, quickly scaling to $200,000 to $300,000 per month in deals, all while raising 4 kids and never missing a single sporting event. Unlike the polished gurus who teach theory, Robert's no BS practical approach comes from real world experience with zero formal education, family money, or connections. Now he runs 4 successful businesses and has helped hundreds of everyday people break into real estate on their own terms. It's my pleasure to have him on the show, so welcome, Robert Howard. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm almost speechless after that intro. Cue up the applause for you.
Well, thank you, sir. I am thrilled to have you because I feel like so many of my guests recently have been doing the passive income and rentals, which are very important right now. But there is a skill that is so important, and you and I were discussing briefly before we started. I use it as an exit strategy, but some people, all they do is wholesaling, and you teach them how to do it the right way and to put more money in their pocket. So let's get started. How did you transition from car sales to doing the wholesaling without any education? I want to hear about this.
Well, I'm anxious to tell you about it too, Jen, but if you allow me first, I want to thank you for bringing me on the show, first of all. I've listened to your podcast, I've watched it, and you do deliver total badassery. Like
Well, thank
there's
you.
no fluff, it's straight value right to your audience. But that takes some real dedication. And anybody
I
that's in this
appreciate it.
space, whether you're doing your edits and getting stuff out and just to have that consistency, man, it's tough. And I'm genuinely honored to be here today.
Well, I'm
And
honored to have you, Robert. So let's get this party started. I can't wait to pick your brain about wholesaling stuff, but how did you do the transition from car sales into wholesaling?
well, you can almost say it was a bit of a natural transition because as you did intro, it does come with, an art of negotiation.
Yes.
But after 20 years in the car business, it was like I didn't think I could even know anything else, honestly. But after a while, you get a little bit of, I won't say fed up, but exhausted from the rat race, getting up knowing it's
Yep.
the same thing like over and over. And it produces an income, but it doesn't produce real wealth or a way to get you ahead. Because everybody knows you won't ever truly get wealthy by building someone else's company.
That's
You have
true.
to be building
Yep.
your own.
Very, very true. So, how did you discover wholesaling?
So it's back. COVID happened. I was at a dealership that ended up selling. When they sold, they brought in all of their new management, and I was forced to. At the time, I thought find me a new career because I was like, you know what, maybe this is my stepping stone. Because sometimes if you won't move, a higher power will move things out of your way
Yep.
so that you can get to where you're supposed to be in your purpose. So when that happened, I started my first company was a marketing company. I started that company and I did that for about maybe 3 months and it scaled pretty quickly. And I'm hiring a VA to help me with that because I got completely bored from it. And I was exhausted with making websites, helping people with SEO, content creation, like all that stuff. And I got burned out very quickly. And I was sitting at the table at like 2 a.m. was like, man, I don't really want to do this either. So the next thing I did was I went to a Google search and said how to make money in real estate with no money. And I literally typed that. No, I put get into real estate with no money down. I just Google searched it. And so later on, I end up joining courses, paying for like all this education and stuff. But at the root of it, it was wholesaling real estate. And that was how you got into real estate with quote unquote no money out of pocket. But of course, there are costs and expenses that come with it along the way. There's nothing that's really completely free, and we'll be honest about it.
Yeah.
When people talk about that free lunch thing, it's real. Nothing is really free. So that's how I even got down into that rabbit hole. But I'll tell you, I ended up taking a job 3 months later because at that point, now you're talking like 6 months out of work, and I'm depleted. So
Mhm.
now I need to get capital back up, be able to continue to pay bills and all that stuff. So I take another job in the auto industry and quickly found out that was a mistake. And at that point, I knew I was definitely gonna plan my exit. So that's what I started to do.
Well, I'd like to go to basics here because wholesaling is a buzzword in this industry, and sometimes there's confusion on it. So, for someone brand new, can you break down exactly what wholesaling means and why it's such a powerful entry point for people wanting to get into real estate investing?
I definitely will. I think it's my personal opinion, and I'm sure some people would agree with me, but I think that should be the entry level of real estate for just about everybody. Number one, wholesaling does not require a real estate license. Well, it doesn't in my state, and in most
So,
states it
yeah,
doesn't either. And
I know some states are making it a requirement now, and it's like there's a lot of. I feel like there's been buzz in North Carolina where I am that you have to have a real estate license. Anyway, keep going.
everybody's trying to get you to get licensed now
Yeah,
because, in essence, what you're doing is you're competing with agents because you're going out and you're finding a person that wants to sell their home, and then you're matching them with somebody that wants to buy the home, and that's normally an investor as your end buyer.
right.
So what you're doing, let's take it for numbers.
Okay.
To put it in perspective so people can understand. So say you have seller here wants to sell their home for 40,000 and you find this person over here that wants to buy the house for 50,000. So that difference in between is your profit. So that $10,000 cushion, that's your profit. And you get that in the form of an assignment fee is what it's called. And
Right.
I used to call it paper profits, at some point because it's really what it is. You're selling, a contract,
Yep.
and your money is not what's in between. So the end buyer is the one that's paying for the property.
Got it. And I got to give a plug for wholesalers because I work with some outstanding wholesalers, and I have heard because as I coach newbies in this industry, I hear them say, "Well, gosh, they're making $30,000 off that deal.
Mhm.
I should go directly to the seller." Well, what they don't realize is that maybe you paid for that lead. Maybe you did a bunch of mailers or hired a VA to do cold calling for you. You spent hours and hours nurturing that relationship with the seller so that you could hand a perfectly great deal over to an end buyer and the numbers still make sense. So that's what I tell new folks is, do the numbers make sense to you? They do, then it shouldn't matter what they are making. I bought a property for, I forget what I got, but my wholesaler made $30,000. I made a shit ton of money at the end. Am I disappointed that I gave him 30K? Hell, I would have probably given him 50, but it just worked out when it was listed. It was at the peak during COVID, and I made a buttload of money from a wholesaler. So I just went off on a tangent here, Robert. I'm so
No,
sorry,
it's good
but it is
because
so
some people
important. Yeah.
they give the wholesalers a bad rep and a bad name.
Yes.
There are some people out there that don't quite know how to do it right and use I guess unscrupulous practices and stuff like that. But if you're doing it the right way, you're exactly right. It comes down to just the numbers because you're selling it to an investor, and if there's meat on the bone for them,
Yep.
they could care less what you paid for it. And again, that comes to the art of negotiations.
Yep.
Because the seller, could they put their home on the market and get more money? Yes. But if your solution is a fast close, then there's compensation for that. So there's considerations for every problem that you're able to solve. Like me personally, when I'm teaching, I tell them about the no risk revenue method because it kind of breaks down the barrier of fear in people. So I help them go over the fear of making the mistakes and where they're feeling overwhelmed. And most times they don't even know like where to start. So if you're armed with knowledge, you now have the confidence to take action. So
Very good.
that's what we're trying to.
Very, very good. And you did mention, and we had a quick conversation about this before we hit record, about there nothing is free. So there are gurus out there who say no money out of pocket. You can just get a property under contract and then wholesale it. So let's go back to your example. The seller wants to sell the house for 40,000. You have a buyer that wants it for 50,000. What are some ways that you found that seller with the $40,000 home?
All right, well, I'll tell you, I that particular one, of course, it was a paid lead. So I was in the auto industry and I was working 70 to 80 hours a week.
Whew.
So a lot of things you have a lot of times you have one or two things and it's going to be time or you're going to have money.
Yep.
So I was in a position where I had the funds to market and I was throwing money at it because if I'm working 80 hours a week, I can't serve two gods. So, I kind of just have my little time that I have to make my calls and get my sellers. But after that, going on, I found a couple methods that don't cost you anything, but you at least have to invest in programs. Like, whether it's a prop stream or not a MailChimp, a prop stream or a dialer or whatever the case may be. And in my case, I even hired VAs, but prop stream I think is only like $99 a month.
Mm,
Now you can go and pull lists from courthouses. That's free. You get your abatement list. You can go on Zillow and get free leads. I do that by going finding people whose listings are over like 6 months old or something like that. You find a motivated seller like that. And that normally means that there's an issue with the home, which you're trying to find some distress anyway. So you find that distress there. Another way that's completely free and easy is just word of mouth. Telling
yes.
people what you do every single day, every single person that you meet. But that's taking you to transition it. That's going to help you go from your side hustle to your main hustle. But yeah, paying for props ring, paying for your materials. But the easiest entry is paying for leads. And sometimes it doesn't take a big budget.
Right.
If you had an extra $250, an extra $500, whatever it is. But the bottom line is you're gonna have to invest in yourself at some point anyway.
Right.
Nobody's just gonna come hand it to you. But you have to determine what's worth it for you. If your time is worth it, your freedom is worth it, and if you want to give it a shot. Because most times I tell people, I mean, what do you have to lose?
That is true. Well, I appreciate you saying that because, like I said, there are gurus out there who go, who just say, "Oh, you just get a property under contract and then you sell it to someone for $10,000," and it's just not that easy. So I appreciate your authenticity and behind it and telling it like it truly is.
And
So,
Jen,
yeah,
can I tell you, when it comes to it not being easy, you're talking to somebody that was working 70, 80 hours a week, and people are always going to say, I don't have time. You can find people, and that's with having kids, having sporting events. If you're doing all this stuff, it's easy to make the excuse of not having time. What's harder is staring in the mirror and saying, "What can I change? What
yeah,
can I do different?" That's a real difficult conversation because some people maybe you take 30 minutes in the morning to scroll social media. Maybe you scroll social media at night. Maybe your favorite TV show comes on Thursday or Friday and you want to see that, but you're gonna have to make a sacrifice somewhere. Like it's inevitable if you want to
absolutely.
get to the next level, or if you want to get ahead, and if you want to see yourself accomplish some of your goals. Sometimes it's I can't have this thing without the other, but most times you're gonna have to sacrifice something. You got to give up something to get something, and I don't care what industry it is. You're gonna have to do that. In my case, I was getting up, so I was working, we'll say 8:30 to 9, 10 o'clock at night
Mm,
sometimes. But on my lunch break, I would try to make calls and I would get up and you made a good point about the art of negotiation is doing your homework. So I would
right.
do my homework at 5 in the morning, from like 5 to 7 before I would start getting ready and all that. And that's me researching the ARVs, which is after repair value, like figuring out what the property is worth, trying to get an idea of what rehab it needed. And back then, I only had one open day, and that was Sunday. And I remember when me and my daughter started the business together, she'll be 17 in a few weeks.
Wow.
But I remember she and I starting the business together, and we went like on Sundays, and we have 10 to 13 properties to look at all in one day. And we get up and we get out at about 7 in the morning, and then we come back about the same time that night.
Wow.
But again, it's the sacrifices that I was willing to make.
I had a coach tell me a quote, and I hope I don't butcher it, but I printed it on cardstock and put it all throughout my house. And the quote, again, I might butcher, I don't even know who said it, but is entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. I actually nailed it. So
I love it.
everything when you were talking, that was going through my head. And, that's why we do need mentors in this industry as well.
You are a badass, Jen.
You are a badass. You crack me up. So, all right, your first $10,000 wholesale deal happened within 90 days. So let's break it down. What does that look like for a complete beginner? Are there any extra steps? What's your secret sauce? I want to hear about this.
Well, Jen, I got to be honest with you. And correct, I know I told you that, but what I neglected to mention was 9 months before that, I was spending a ton of money on marketing and courses. I was buying leads, had no idea what to do with them, to the tune of about $50,000.
Woo.
Yes, before I even got my first deal. Like that was crazy. So it wasn't until I actually thought I had my first deal under contract, it was a $10,000 one. And then I met this young lady who had already had the seller under contract. And so here I am trying to go and close my deal. She's like, hey, she calls me up because the lady tell like, no, this guy can give me more money, so and so. And so she calls her up. Well, the lady calls me up because she gave her my number and she's like, hey, I hear you got this deal under contract. Like, how are you doing that? She's under contract with me. And I'm like, no, she signed the contract with me. And I went all off on this tangent, telling her I was gonna sue the seller, I was gonna sue her, and all this stuff. And she's like, whoa, whoa. She's like, you're going about this all the wrong way. And she said, is this something that you plan on doing? And I was like, yes. She's like, well, you don't do it like this. Let me show you how. And her and I to this day are very good friends in a relationship that started like that. I mean, she ended up showing me, the ropes. She would spend time making phone calls with me and all that stuff. But I said all that to say I had $50,000 of bought education, never could take the step. And it didn't really take off until she started taking that time with me and holding my hand to that deal. And drum roll, my first deal I made $25,000.
Nice.
And then from there, it started to be progressing. So I was like, one deal as a side hustle, I was expecting to only make 10, made 25. So I'm like, what if I just did one deal a month?
Hmm.
I was like, okay, that'd be good enough for me. And the next one, of course, I made like 10,000. And then I'm like, okay, well, what if I do two a month? And then gradually I got my courage up to start investing in more leads because now I can handle them. Hired VA, started to scale, got to about 3 deals a month. But when I got to do about 5 deals consistently, like over a 6 month period, I said, okay, well, I can hang it up now. And it took me 2.5 years, giving full transparency to get to that point. It wasn't overnight.
And that's what makes you a good coach, is because you have full transparency there. So thank you for sharing that with the listeners. But what happened with that first deal? So you had it, the seller signed a contract, but somebody your
Yes,
mentor already had it under contract.
I already
Explain
handled the
explain that.
contract.
What was that?
So when you go to, you'll give a salary contract, say you can buy it for X amount of dollars. You take that contract and you send it to an attorney. And when I sent it off, came back that the title was clouded basically.
Clouded.
Yes, because somebody else had already taken the contract. And that's how she and I end up meeting. So I scratched that deal, I walked away from it, and then the next deal was actually from a paid lead. So she taught me actually what to do with my leads that I already had. And so I went back to them, got ARVs, learned how to present it to them. And I got in some Facebook groups and stuff, found an investor in one of those groups, took them out to the property, showed it to them. They figured out what it would take, and the rest was history.
Very nice. So there is no shortage of real estate deals out there. So my badassery bestowment in the beginning was about negotiation. So have you applied anything that you learned in the sales business in the auto industry? Do you apply it to how you do wholesaling, how you work with sellers? Do you have any tips that you can share with us?
Yes, and I'll tell you, it was 100% what you led in with about the silence, figuring out their
Did you?
motivation. Yeah, that silence
It was
is
awkward.
I'm telling you, but you got to sit there and wait for that's like sales 101 too, especially when it comes to negotiations, because they usually have this thing that says the first one that speaks loses.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've heard that
I
before.
have heard that.
So in the car business, man, I found myself and people can back this up, like sitting across just staring at somebody for like 30 minutes.
Ugh.
And then I am a Cancer, birthday's in July, so I am a bit stubborn. So we were just sitting there like so, so that was kind of funny, but the true art of negotiation is figuring out the other person's hot points, their whys, and you definitely have to be a good listener because if you listen close enough, they're going to tell you exactly how to sell them. You don't even have to figure it out. All you
Right.
have to do is listen. So I turned out to be an extremely good listener.
As a podcast host, that silence is like deadly. And so for me, it's so hard, changing my mindset when I'm dealing with homeowners to getting the interview done. So it was awkward for me during the badassery bestowment to
I
stay
mean, so,
silent for that long.
you like count one, two, three. One, two, three, go.
Oh my goodness. Well, that is a good tip. Thank you for that. So, all right. You talk about that you do not miss any of your kids' sporting events, which I just admire that so much. I had parents who are the same way. So, when you're building these businesses, do you have any advice for listeners who are really struggling with trading time for success?
I do, but it's difficult too
Mhm.
because I wasn't always able to trade that time, and I'm sure when they first start off, they're gonna find it difficult too. So I was kind of a helicopter parent, kind of flyby, for a lot of times. A lot of times I made the events, but I wasn't really present. I was there, but it's always focused on, okay, well now, like what's next? What do I got to get to and all that stuff. So I don't want to make it just like it's all roses and all that stuff. So it came again with some difficulties because in the beginning stages, we all know as an entrepreneur, like you're gonna have to bootstrap it and you have to be able to put in those long hours. You do it so that you can work for yourself, but the idea is also you can work just as hard for yourself as you do for someone else.
Mhm.
But what keeps you going is knowing at the end, like I have this freedom, I will get to every sporting event, I will get to enjoy it and that's what kept me going. But yes, I was at all of those events, and every employer that I was with knew that that was important to me. And even when I made my exit and told them those are the reasons why they couldn't do anything but shake my hand, like it's no bad blood, no anything. So
I'm just curious, what sports are your kids in?
all of them, volleyball, baseball, basketball, soccer, and what else? And like the AAU, the summer stuff. So all of it is just year round.
It's a lot. I
I
did
told
AA.
right. So for my birthday, I feel like how these moms like it's nothing comparable, but I get their sentiments because when my birthday came, I was like, I said, what do you want for your birthday? I said, just like a day of just peace. I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to deal with kids. Just for them because it's literally like it's always something.
Yes. And you have 4 kids. Goodness gracious. So, and I told you before, I'm allergic to kids because I'm a former school teacher. So,
That'll
I
do it.
that'll do it. I will tell you. So I want to go a little bit more into the actual wholesaling process, and big question for you, because we were talking about, what it takes financially to be a wholesaler. And there, you gave us great tips on ways to not spend so money on the front end, but on the back end, when you're trying to find buyers for your deals, do you use, like, say, Investor Lift? How do you promote it? Do you just promote it on Facebook? How do you find your buyers?
My buyers, believe it or not, for the property, so I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and the properties are fairly inexpensive here. So a lot of your buyers you can find, under 100,000 on Facebook. But yes, I've used the connected investors, the
Okay.
investor lift. I've used all those to liquidate some deals as well. And over time, you'll create great relationships and you'll have a buyer network where you can just do it from your cell phone. But very early on, that's why I was liquidating a ton of my deals. Even now, if I get something under contract that's, 30, $40,000, I know within a day or two I can have it going on Facebook.
Very good. And you stick in your neck of the woods?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Because there's a
Because
lot of,
in virtual wholesaling,
yes, thank
it
you.
is very good, and I know people that have made tons of money doing it. But me personally, it's just not my style. Because I still got the thing, like I do still like to interact with people because I've talked to people for 20 years.
Right.
So I still like to myself personally go out to the homes, see what the motivation is and all that. Now I do have people that set the appointments for me. I don't necessarily have to be on the phone doing the cold calls and the follow-ups and all that, but when it's time to go out and see the property, there's a 95 to 99% chance that they're going to see me.
I love that you do that, because there are so many times where I'm looking at on Investor Lift, for example, and some of those wholesalers have never even stepped foot in the property. It's only been over the phone, and you are the one you're setting it up so easy to pass that off to the end buyer who's going to be taking the property, doing a fix and flip, or keeping it as a rental. So I just feel like you, coming from the auto industry, so this, real estate is relationships, period. It is, if you don't think you're in sales, you are wrong. Everything about real estate is sales and developing those relationships. So that's probably why your deals are so much more successful compared to these others who are just hitting numbers and, just going way too fast through the process. So I do appreciate that you do that. When you're coaching people, do you only coach students in Birmingham, or are you nationwide? Explain your coaching program a little bit.
We coach nationwide
Okay.
because the program that I teach is a virtual one. So you'll have and it's me live on video. It's not just a talking AI module, anything like that. It's giving you my sauce. I'm telling you exactly what I do from start to finish, and me holding your hand to your very first deal, because the wholesaling process is very replicable. It's plug and play. You can
Yep.
do it anywhere. I suggest people do it in the markets that they're in until you get good enough at it. Because there are some sellers, and you may lose not a lot of deals, but maybe one or two deals, because people do want to deal with an actual person that can come and see it. And from an investor side, I found frustration trying to get a property myself, rentals and stuff like that, and I'll go and waste my time and take pictures and go and do a viewing. And I literally will call these hotels back, like, have you even seen the place? And they're like, well, can you send me some pictures? I'm like, no, no, I can't. Actually, I cannot. So,
I had a conversation recently, same thing. Oh, can you send me those photos? No, dude. And it
no.
was like, I was walking through an ashtray, this property. I'm like, and they had taken the pictures off the walls. And I thought it was, the pictures this guy had lovely yellow paint on the wall. But no, you take it off, the walls are actually white, and it was just reeked of, it was walking through an ashtray. So that is so funny. All right. So now you have me thinking other questions here, but what are your biggest pet peeves with other wholesalers that you see in this industry?
That's a number one. having never seen the property. Number two is grossly misstated ARVs. Okay,
Yes.
you're like, Lord, where'd you get that number from?
From comps
Yeah.
3 years old
Yes,
PS.
and even
That's where they
that, and
got it.
sometimes they're going over major highways. They're going
Yes.
2 miles out, like, and all this stuff. I'm like, "Dude, I don't know where this is. Like, how are you comparing this?"
Right.
But that would be the two that are deal killers, like 100%. Because if you can't nail your ARV down, you're going to be stuck with your deal. And I have a very good reputation for being able to close on every property I put
Nice.
under contract, even if I want it for myself, because if the numbers make sense, you're gonna sell it. It's just that easy. If the numbers don't make sense, it's probably a reason that you're stuck with it. Or if you didn't do a proper, inspection on it and you missed a foundation, a huge crack while you were walking around and you just snapping pictures and all that. So there is an art to it. And we do teach the right way to do it.
Very good. Do you do pictures or video?
I do both.
Okay.
I
I
do pictures and videos, and I'm gonna get stoned for this, but I don't like the Google Drives.
so what do you use?
I use Dropbox exclusive.
Okay.
Yes, because in the Google, because I mean, number one, you're forcing somebody to have a Google account,
Okay.
so you limit. And I never wanted to limit my buyers. Some people don't have a Google, and some people are older. Maybe they got a Yahoo, maybe they have AOL, maybe they don't have it at all.
Did you
But
just
if I
say
give them,
AOL?
yes, I do have an old AOL address. That's how I know. So I'm like, man, I don't wanna, shit on nobody
You're,
that has
you're
AOL.
you're the remaining AOL survivor out there.
And
That is
I'm
so
probably the one
funny.
keeping them in business.
I love that. So other mistakes, let me my favorites, we're talking about videos and pictures, is where they take pictures of like furniture. I'm like, you want to see warts and all. If I am looking through Investor Lift, for example, and there's pictures of all the bad stuff, I'm like, I already like this wholesaler. I already
And,
want to work with this
and so
wholesaler.
I hate to cut you off,
No, go
but
ahead.
I taught my daughter. So my daughter can go into a house like now, like by herself. And sometimes I send her unassisted if it's a safer neighborhood and no men there and stuff like that. It has to be the right situation for me to send her
Right.
alone. But when we're together, I literally tell her, look, I'm gonna talk to the homeowner. You go do your thing. She knows to get that rotted fascia boards. She knows to get this AC that's like 20 years old,
Hmm.
like and all that stuff, and go around and get cracks in the foundation. Like she knows what to look for, and rarely will we have lower pictures. So we are taking our pictures. A pro tip for people is we try to get all four corners of the room and showing the ceiling, so you can see, like, if there's leaks or something like that,
Or
because
popcorn ceiling.
it
Right.
can make it look pretty. But the idea, like I tell you, so we aren't trying to put this on the market and make it look pretty. I said we want people to know what they're getting because we want them to close. So we don't want to waste anybody's time and we don't want to waste ours. So
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that and cutting me off of that because that is absolutely important. I do have one wholesaler I work with that only does videos. And I'm like, I can't zoom in on the outlets to
stop
see if they're
it.
2-prong or 3-prong, just little things like that, and pull the shower curtain back. I made this mistake of purchasing a property one time and never pulled back the shower curtain. And then when I bought the place, there's a screwdriver holding the faucet together, and you had to turn with the screwdriver to turn it on. So I'm like, oh,
I'll tell you, a few months ago, we had a property before we went to view it. Somebody sent it to us, and it had the shower curtains closed. We pull it back, and there are like three dead rats in there. So yes, do always pull back the shower curtain.
absolutely. Well, this has been so fun talking about those things, and totally none of the Chat GPT questions, by the way, that they spit out at you. But one final question before we move into the second part of the podcast here is: but looking back, what's one piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self or anyone out there who feels like the odds are stacked against them, basically?
To my younger self, I would say don't doubt yourself
Good.
because there was a point in the auto industry where I felt like I was making the most money I could in life. And it was like, if I'm not doing this, then what else could I possibly do? And it's like, and so I got very comfortable. I got comfortable with that, at that income. I got comfortable at those hours, and I just settled in.
Mhm.
So there was a point that there was very high doubt that there was anything else that I could do that could bring the similar income and still give me a lot of freedom. I always thought if you're gonna make like a ton of money, like you just got to burn yourself out.
Yep. Hustle.
Yeah.
Yep. And then what about the person who's on the fence about possibly getting into wholesaling? What advice do you have for them?
For that person, if it's a passion of yours, you ever wanted something that you could do as a side hustle and turn to your main hustle, is jump. I always tell you, you got to jump because you can look at all the YouTube videos you want. Hell, you can look at me even and listen to my course and get there and not do anything with it. And for whatever reason, like I talked about, a lot of it is sometimes, fear of the unknown, fear of making that mistake. Tell you, just jump because obviously when you do jump, like you'll land somewhere.
Yep.
And even if nothing else, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You'll be stronger. You'll come out better on the other side, and there'll be lessons there. So
Taking
there's literally,
action. Yep.
yes, yeah.
Taking action. Huge. So, how do the people find you if they are interested in getting into wholesaling and get on these calls with you? What's the best way? First of all, what's the name of your coaching program?
It's Epic Wholesaling, EPIC,
Very nice. And how do they find you?
epicwholesaling.com. That's EPICWHOLESALING.com. Then I felt like I was in a spelling bee there. God, that's I
Like you have to hold the
gotta say
sign and
it,
write on the back of your
and
number.
repeat it again. Yes,
Well,
epicwholesaling.com. And if I tell you what, anybody that's listening to your show, if they can find me on Facebook, it's Robert.Howard.3150. It's my profile, but it's Robert Robert, last name Howard Howard. If you find me, you'll know it's me. I sent you my profile pic, didn't I? It's
I
the
love it.
the pink suit with a crisp white shirt, and that's how you'll know that you found me. But just shoot me a DM or a private message, and just put the word jump in there. If you do that, just for being on Jen's badass show, I'll send you all my intro to wholesaling. I'll send you the scripts that I use for the free things like Zillow. You got to talk to a realtor or something like that. So I give you access to that and a cold calling script. So it'll be a little bit, my contribution to getting you started and getting you off the fence.
Well, thank you. We love free stuff on the Rain podcast here. So I am going to have to check that out myself. And I love scripts. I love comparing scripts and seeing what other people say and what works for them. So, Robert, thank you for that. I want to move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Robert Howard a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Believe it or not, it's probably a lot of people's. It's Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep.
That had a profound. So that's what shifted my mindset. To even because of course it's possible when you're thinking about it, and I don't know if, for people that hadn't read it, he goes and meets this guy that's of course an entrepreneur and a huge mogul, and he basically just tells him about just building his own company, not building it the back of somebody else's. So that was
Yep.
huge.
It's so funny. And we call that the purple Bible in this industry. But
Really.
when I kept hearing about that in the beginning, when I first got started in real estate investing, I'm like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm like, I don't have kids. I'm like, is that a parenting book? What is So someone with 4 kids, I can see why you picked that up right away. But anyway, all right. The first A in badass is for advice. You've given us amazing advice, but I'm curious, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Man, I've talked to so many great people. The best piece of advice that I received was actually from somebody else that was in the business with me, and then he himself left the business and started his own business. It's totally unrelated business, but I remember him coming to me, and he basically said the same thing that I tell people going forward too is just take that next step.
Very good.
It was,
Very simple.
like I said, I was very, it's very simple advice, but so few people do it.
Yep. I can't see why, and I have a very specific student in my mind who just goes from coaching program to coaching program to coaching program and never takes action. And I don't understand why people throw money away. So
You just gotta
jump,
try it. Just
got to
gotta
do
try
it.
it. And it doesn't hurt you to try.
Absolutely. All right. I could talk to you all day. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
What drives me is knowing that I do have other people counting on me.
Mhm.
Whether number one, my family is going to be counting on me, and then we have employees as well. So I know that I have to do well. I have to be a good leader. I have to set a good example for the people around me, especially my kids, to show them what tenacity looks like, to show them what ambition looks like, to show them what drive looks like. So they have that as a good example. In my case, I didn't have all of that, but so I just kind of figured it out. But for them to have an example and a roadmap for something they can look after, so it drives me to be able to show them and be a good example, and also for our employees to know that you're the person that has to provide for someone else. So you got to be on top of your shit.
Love it. So your 17-year-old daughter, is she going to go to college? Or she's going to go straight into real estate after I'm assuming she hasn't graduated high school yet, but
No, she's in her senior year. She'll graduate this year, and we try to have extensive conversations about it. And she shuts me down all the time. Just classic, my stubborn daughter. I'm just like, Dad, I don't want to talk about that right now, but I've left the door open for her that I won't force her one way or another, because the good thing about what we've built is she now has options, and she doesn't have to create just this obligation or go and load up with debt or just jump out on her own as soon as she graduated high school like I did. So I give her the option to be able to have it's unilateral, of course, but I do give her the option to either go to school or do something in real estate. But she always has a job, with the company, and she works across all four of them right now. Matter of fact,
nice.
she's gone right now doing two tasks for the company. But when she graduates, I told her if she wants to take some time, please do that, because you don't want to just waste money jumping into school just because you think that's what everybody's doing or that's the thing that you have to do. But I do know with certainty when she's old enough here at 19 to get a license, that's one of her goals.
Nice. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. I was just curious. All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you're currently working on?
Currently, so the reason I said a long time ago that people have to start or they should start in wholesaling, because that allows you to accumulate cash. There are a lot of people that teach differently, and I don't have a problem with that. I can agree with some of what they say, and they tell you use other people's money, get the credit, and all that stuff. And that's good. And yes, you can get that credit, but at the end of the day, you have to have some kind of income still to pay for that debt. You know,
Hmm.
you have to be able to service that debt. It's a better and easier option to me, because not only in wholesaling can you build up your capital, you're getting a chance to get out there and get real world experience. So you're getting to see what a property looks like, distress, what it looks like, rehab, an idea of what properties are worth, an idea of what budget look like, an idea of what the after repair values are. And that stuff you won't get just hopping into it from a different standpoint. Even as being an agent, you don't have the investor side
Hmm.
figured out. And a lot of time, I think you need to get the investor side figured out first before just going, because it lends credibility too. So I say start in wholesaling to build up cash to bring me to what our aspirations are. But we've done multifamily about three times, had about three buildings there, but we want to get a sizable multifamily.
Very nice. So when you said done for some multifamily, you meaning not flip them or wholesale them. You purchase them and you have renters in there. Is that what you were saying?
So we flipped two of them and have renters in one of them. But yes, we bought and rehabbed and resold and rented multifamily.
Nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, I have a problem property in Southern Virginia that I'll sell you cheap. 12 unit.
I'll take it. Let me tell you.
No, you know.
That's one thing I can tell you now. I ain't scared now. You could have called me a few years ago, but I'm
I I'll send you the link later. It is we are giving this property away. All right, moving on. So the first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
well, it ain't much. They tell you if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. So
Huge.
one of the systems that we use is employing, VAs, employing assistants. We recently just made another hire this week actually to be able to expand. So we have help in numbers and there's strength in numbers. So that's one of the systems that we use consistently. We're always trying to hire the best people we can so that we don't have to do everything. And they're going to use our same routines because you're going to get, of course, my personal routine is getting up very early in the morning and starting my day, but theirs is going to start with checking our rent rolls, checking banks, and then going on to leads, responding, setting appointments, and you're going to follow up different times of the day. I'll give you the entire system, but it's built on people, putting the right people in place.
I have a question for you about virtual assistant on VAs, or not necessarily virtual assistants, but having cold callers. So I know immediately when someone's cold calling me, I say, Jolific Homes, boop, hello. That's what they do. I'm
Yes.
like, you called me. Like,
Yes.
start with, hi, I'm Jen and I'm calling about, or like be there ready. The pause, it kills me. I understand how cold calling works, and then you pick up and then you start, but the first words out of them, hello. I'm like, yes, you called me. How can I help you? So that is just one of my pet
Well, I'll tell
peeves.
you the best thing about our system too is we've created a system where the sellers and owners they reach out to us, so we no longer
Nice.
do a lot of cold calling, and
Ah,
yes, that does cost money, but that's what we've decided to invest in. And these people, the other thing, if you're going to invest in people, I learned early on, don't just hire somebody just because you need the help if you don't have the time to train them. I
mm.
wasted thousands of dollars by not training and I wasn't getting results. So I had to slow down to speed up. And I slowed down and I took the time to train these VAs to make sure they had acceptable accents. Let's see. Hey, we're keeping it real. Right?
Oh my
So
gosh.
the accents are okay, and train them on stuff you saying like because you can hear it a mile away from somebody that doesn't do their research. Like one of my VAs, like when if it's an appointment or something like that, like he knows that he better have me like an ARV and idea like what they want, what's around comps and all of that before we even waste anybody's time. So
Nice. And I
and
love
that
warm
came from
leads.
me training him just like that. He's gonna have my roof age, my HVAC age. Like, he's gonna have all this stuff from me before we even we even get there. So
And thank you for saying the with the accents and keeping it real, because that is true. It is tough, and that also just leaves a very it
and we
presents
we
you,
have we have VAs here too, and we have regular assistants. But go ahead.
but it just starts you off in your business for someone who is not living anywhere near you, who's wanting to buy your home on a cold call, and it just leaves a bad taste. So, Robert, see, I could hug you through this camera for saying that. So thank you. All right. The final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to Robert Howard?
Man, success for me now is so simple. Success is continuing to be first a great husband and being there emotionally present for my wife and her needs, is being able to do the same thing for the kids being present for them and at all of their events and letting them just see a good example of what just a good human being is.
I did not think I could like you any more. So, Robert, you are fabulous. And I love your whole concept behind wholesaling and your authenticity based on coaching and just saying it like it is. And so I do truly appreciate you sharing your badassery today on the Rain podcast. So, Robert, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. We will catch you on that next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with AutoQuote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Hey, this is Dan Harris, host of the 10% Happier podcast. I'm here to tell you about a new series we're running this September on 10% Happier. The goal is to help you do your life better. The series is called Reset. It's all about hitting the reset button in many of the most crucial areas of your life. Each week, we'll tackle a topic like how to reset your nervous system, how to reset your relationships, how to reset your career. We're going to bring on top-notch scientists and world-class meditation teachers to give you deep insights and actionable advice. It's all delivered with our trademark blend of skepticism, humor, credibility, and practicality. 10% Happier is self-help for smart people. Come join the party.